This is a real thing I did this weekend in the bathroom at the bar. I was drinking in the bar 'cause the clubs are finally open. Time to get some flirtin' on. We consensually gropin'. When I had a bathroom pee break, something took me by surprise. A real familiar face. Bitch, I recognize those eyes. It was my own reflection. I was staring back at me. I snuck just 3 tequilas in so I could clearly see. Should I take a little moment and say what I have to say? This bar has lots of bathrooms, girl, so you can take all day. These are my bathroom affirmations to be the hottest you. Repeat them on the bar nights to remember that they're true. These titties looking fat and my ass is really tight. Smile for the camera, damn, you always find your light. Free drinks tend to find you wherever you may go. And fentanyl is everywhere, so just say no to blow. These are my bathroom affirmations 'cause the summer will be fire. If that boy forgets to text you, just remember he's a liar. You're sipping on a budget, don't you ever feel guilty? And if you find a socialist, then climb him like a tree. Don't fall for local bullshit and always blot your lips. Pull in your belt just one more notch, accentuate those hips. You are a super hot babe on the inside and the out. Lift up the other hot babes and give them all their clout. I'm spitting confidence all night, there is no room for fear. You're vaxxed and waxed and real relaxed, it's definitely your year. Those were my bathroom affirmations. You may use them for your own. Now touch up your last looks because the dance floor is your throne.
Time for
Duh. Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello! Did you have a good weekend? Did you do drugs, fuck thugs, and give lots of hugs? I did a few of those. I also sweat out every toxin that may have ever been in my body ever. I don't mean to talk about the weather, but god damn, we are melting in New York. I am currently taking applications for new friends with pools to adopt me into their life. How does that work, though? Do I fill out the paperwork, or would they? I guess they have the pool, but I would definitely make amazing snacks and food, and you can live without a pool, but you can't live without dips, both salsa and skinny. I was talking on the phone with my mom, and I told her about this guy who I thought had BDE. Then I realized when I said BDE, she might not know what that means. So I asked, and she said, big dick? You know, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, mama. I performed improv live for the first time in 15 months on Saturday. It was so fun. We had a great set. Shout out to my friend Sal and the cast of Improvention. That's right, the name of the show is Improvention. We did an improvised intervention. The audience was a real big size. I don't know if that was a testament for their love of improv or people wanting to be out of the house, but we gave them a great show either way. Very pleased. The whole cast was all veteran players. Veteran players meaning longtime improvisers. Everybody up there knew what they were doing, so we can kind of break the improv rules a little. When you know the rules, you can break them, which is how you know I like to live my life, party gods. Pro tip, BYOWASD. Bring your own weed and smoking device if you're going out to the bar. Yes, your friends may be vaxxed. Yes, it's probably fine, but also, you know, we're adults. Have your own stuff with you. That being said, thank you to everyone who shared their weed and smoking devices with me. I promise to be more prepared next time. Whoopsie. Hey, I have a question. And honestly, this is a serious question. Why do those creepy porn accounts that say, get 100K followers, always watch my Instagram story? They're like multiplying. It's unreal lately. I block them, but it's getting out of control. Someone, and I will not mention names, but someone said in front of 4 of my relatives, including my grandmother who was just trying to enjoy her motherfucking Malbec on her motherfucking porch. Those bots are watching your Instagram stories because you watch porn on your phone. First of all, I don't watch porn on my phone. I use my imagination like a beautiful dreamer. Or I use my laptop on a private browser like an adult. Mostly my noggin though. Another pro tip. The teeniest, tiniest lick of a small battery jump starts said battery like a car getting jumped. Now, let me be clear. I am not advising in the slightest that you lick your vibrator or spin toothbrush you use exclusively for self-stimulation's batteries all the time. I just said in a pinch. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts. If you don't know, these are the thoughts I've had when I was at my most stoned this week. This week I'm going to read them off like a list in succession, verbatim, how I wrote them down at the time. Do birth charts actually matter? What's Trevor Noah's middle name, I wonder? Need to find bell-bottoms to wear, comma, stylish. That Peaches song Justin Bieber sings is good because he highlights all his favorite things are the best quality things. That's why it's good. Waterproof Band-Aids don't work against sweat. Upsetting corporate lies strike again. Are pussy trimmers just weed whackers for people? And lastly, find accurate birth chart ASAP. My guest this week is the hilarious, vibrant, talented, beautiful, inside and out, Shannon Bobo. Shannon's wild word was ring the alarm, and all I will say is she brought it with her wild night story. And I promise you this, I never want to make her mad. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and this doesn't matter a battery lick to you, but she gave me real beautiful woman-to-woman life advice off camera, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. Thank you, Shannon. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You know this is the Party God Squad, and you know you want to be a party god with us. And that's the only ticket in. Actually, there is another way. Write a review on Apple Podcasts. It makes such a difference. And to all the listeners out there who've done that already, thank you. Find me on Instagram and TikTok at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. And now, enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Shannon Bobo. Shannon, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me, Rocky.
I'm so excited. I think you are so funny. And speaking of which, so you are stand-up in LA. How is it getting back to live comedy?
Oh my goodness. I love it. It's like an orgasm.
Yeah.
It's been so great. I'm like, because I love Zoom too. Like it's fine. I actually was doing some live streaming comedy before the pandemic even hit. So I was kind of already used to it. So I didn't have all the bumps that a lot of the comics had, where they're not used to talking and then people not laughing. I was like, I'm used to people not laughing at my jokes and just going on anyway. So it was fine for me. But to be back, oh my God, like we did our first live show at the Comedy Chateau, which is a brand new comedy club in Los Angeles. It's in North Hollywood.
Okay.
And it was so cool to just be live, and I got to go there. My husband and my dog were in the audience because it was an outdoor venue.
Yeah.
It just felt so good. When I first got on stage, I just had to let it in that I was I was looking at people, they were looking back at me. And then, I mean, it just felt so like, it was orgasmic. I was like, I think I'm coming up here right now.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Let me have this moment.
I need a minute. But it felt so good to be back. It was, you don't know what you missed until you have it again. It's like, and then you appreciate any little stage time. In LA, we don't get paid for most of our stage time. If anything, we get like $50 here, $20 here. Depends on the show, depends on everything else. But it felt really, really good to be on stage. And that's when I know that I'm really doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my life, because I enjoy it so much and I don't need to get paid. But I need to pay my bills, but we'll sort it out.
Well, eventually, I mean, you're so passionate about it, and anything that's going to make you come that's not, a dick or a vibrator or your finger or anything or somebody else's finger, I like to take my orgasms as they come. So if that's happening on stage, you're in the right place.
Absolutely.
And eventually, you've got your foot on the gas, the pedal to the metal. The pandemic is coming to a close, and you're already out there. I have a feeling that people are going to be ringing the alarm for you pretty soon.
Oh, here we go, ring the alarm. Yes. While we're here. I like the segue.
My segues are very corny, but the audience knows that, and I'm 100% okay with that. So Shannon's wild phrase, she gave me a phrase, was ring the alarm. And Shannon, you got to give it to us. Tell us your wild night story.
Okay, well, this is about 10 years ago, maybe even longer. I think it was in 2007. I remember the exact year.
Okay.
No, 2006, 2000. It was somewhere around there. Maybe
gotcha.
It was, I don't remember. It was somewhere around there.
Gotcha.
And I was dating my college sweetheart. We had been together for like 7 years at the time, like a very long time we were together. And he cheated on me the entire time we were together. He cheated, he did drugs, he was crazy. He just cheated the entire time. And then I was always taking him back.
Let me ask you this. So I know women's intuition is very real. Now, when he was cheating on you, was that something you found out later, or was that happening throughout and it was just a forgiveness? And was it physical cheating or emotional cheating? Neither is better than the other, but everything.
He cheated all the time with everybody. Like once he even cheated with this girl that was right in front of me. She was hanging out with us, and and then he finally admitted, because he butt dialed me and he left the voicemail message on my phone. The girl was coming over to suck his dick all throughout.
God.
And I was like, and I still took him back. And it was all these things. And it was a very tumultuous, very toxic relationship. And once it was a pair of underwear, he's like convinced me that they were mine, but they were like these little tiny panties, full body. First of all, I wear thongs when I do wear underwear.
Okay.
And I was like, these are not mine. And he's like, yes, they are. Remember, da da da. So I was so bamboozled by this guy.
He was gaslighting you.
He was gaslighting me, and the dick wasn't even that good, to be completely honest. Like looking back at everybody looks at past dick, that dick was not good. I was like, this was not. It's so funny how we get dickmatized by the worst dicks. Like, what the fuck? Like, it wasn't even.
If you're gonna gaslight me, I'm gonna need you to blow this back out.
Exactly. It's like you weren't even blowing it back out. I had very low self-esteem. And I was that's where I was at the time. I was like, like late 20s. I just wasn't there, like emotionally.
You didn't have the tools in your toolbox.
I did not have the tools at the time. I've done a lot of growing since then, but. Okay, so we are dating back and forth, left and right. He breaks up with me right before we're supposed to go to a big wedding in Arizona over Christmas, and
your family's or his?
It was one of his best friends was getting married in Arizona.
Gotcha.
And he breaks up with me. We break up all the time, so I was just like, okay, fine. So I actually moved out this time, so that's how big the breakup was. That was the first time I actually moved out, but we were still kind of together. We were still sleeping together. We were still kind of doing our on again, off again thing. So he goes to the wedding, and then when he comes back, he had met somebody, and he's met people all the time, but this time it was serious. Like he met somebody at the wedding that he was just like, that's the love of my life. I'm going to marry her. And then within a month, he was about to marry somebody else. He was about to marry somebody else after everything we had been through. He literally had met somebody. We had been together at the time, 7 years, like all throughout college, like 7 years we've been together. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is really over. He's actually marrying somebody that he's met.
And this was a feeling like because you were together this whole time. Did you want to marry him? Or were you go with the flow?
I honestly believe that I had really horrible women in my life at the time. I was taking really bad advice. Like the advice was like, oh, like you're training him to be your husband. And all this work you put into him, you might as well just stay with them. It was like conversations like that, like things that I would never tell a woman. And this is advice from older women.
Yeah.
They're like, fake it till you make it. Like eventually you'll get a ring. And I'm like, I shouldn't have even been with the guy in the first fucking place, to be honest. But okay, so he's getting married, and everybody knows now that it is officially over. He calls me while I'm at work to tell me he's gonna marry this woman. he calls me at work. He's like, I got to tell you something, and I don't want you to hear it from all our friends. Because by the way, all our friends were in common. We had we have been together since we were kids.
Yeah.
So of course, all of our friends are in common. He's like, I'd rather you hear it from me. And he's like, I'm getting married. I met her. She's the love of my life. I'm marrying her. Actually, I was able to guess it. He goes, he said, I got to tell you something because I don't want you to hear it from the grapevine. And then I said, you're getting married. He said, how did you guess? I said, well, I was trying to think of the dumbest thing you can do right now, and that would be it.
Yes. Yes.
So he is on the verge of getting married, and I'm just dealing with it. And all my friends are like, wow, you're handling this very well. I don't know what I would do. Like, I'm getting all this. And by the way, it's not helpful because the woman that he's marrying, MySpace was popular at the time.
Okay.
She's stalking me on MySpace. This bitch stalking me on MySpace. And I was like, it's so weird. Like, and then the pictures that she was sent to me was all it was all the images of them like kissing and hugging. By the way, they knew each other a whole month and they're getting married, which is crazy.
That's insane.
They met in December at the wedding. And by February, he's telling me he's getting married. Like,
she's in his top 8.
She's in his top 8 on MySpace. You get it. Like, you get So at my work, I work at a talent agency at the time. And by the way, like every Friday we would have martini hour. Everybody would just get drinks, slosh, like fucked up. I think I ruined happy hour there because people would get too drunk because of me, because I was always a ringleader.
You're pushing everybody.
So it was my fault. Like I ruined Friday cocktail hour. So every Friday at 5, we would just start drinking. Like, fuck it. Like, we still had tons of auditions to put out. This is when commercial auditions were crazy. We used to have like 500 commercial auditions a day, and we used to have to get it out to all our clients. So I'm drinking, and she was my best friend at work. Everybody has a bestie at work. She was my best friend at work. Noreen. Ooh, Noreen got me good that day. We got so drunk. Everybody had left. And I should have been driving, so bad on me. I deserve a lot of bad. But while we were there, before we were about to like close off to leave, because we were going to wait till we sobered up a little bit to drive home, which is terrible. Do not drink and drive ever, people.
We're not endorsing drinking and driving. We are
not endorsing
life lessons.
I'm not endorsing that at all. It was terrible, and I'm so grateful that I wasn't hurt. No one else was hurt. I'm so grateful for that.
Absolutely.
So, she says to me, she's like, I got to be honest with you. Because everyone at work knew, by the way.
Yeah.
Everyone at work knew. She's like, I got to hand it to you for not being so upset that your boyfriend of 7 years didn't really completely end things with you and is marrying someone else. I have to be like, she's like, every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, Shannon is like resilient. She was giving me all these compliments. But while she was telling me this, I was crumbling inside.
Yeah.
She's like, I would snap. Like she's like, I would go off. I would snap. I would be like, how the fuck would you do this? And she's like, but better you than me. She said, because I would never be able to do that. I would never be able to handle that. So I get in my car, and then for some reason with the alcohol, and like I go into a daze almost. I honestly do not know how I got to our apartment, because by the way, technically I still live there. I still had the key. My things were still there.
Oh,
I had just moved out, and I was still living with I was staying with a friend, but my things were still there. That's how we were still together. Like I had moved out completely.
Yeah.
And I got in with my regular key with everything else, and I had the key to the door. And he had, while I was gone, because I wasn't living there technically for like a couple months, so he had another roommate. But like all my furniture, it was our furniture because we were together.
Your home.
It was my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I knock on his bedroom door because it was our bedroom door. So he's not there. And apparently, because of MySpace, I learned that he was in. I don't know where she was staying at the time, but he was wherever she lives. I think she lived in either Arizona or Texas, but he was visiting her for the weekend. That's what I learned. I'm like, oh, he's not home.
Yeah.
So and then the roommate knocked on his door. He's like, Joe, are you home? The guy's name is Joe, but my ex-boyfriend was Joe.
Shout out
and
to
I
Joe.
I didn't say anything. Hi, Joe. Hi. Hey.
You did it, Joe.
You did it, Joe. I locked the door, And I just went ape shit on all of his shit. That's why I call it ring the alarm. I did so much damage. He had this muscle powder, and I just opened it up and I splashed it all over the carpet.
Yeah.
I ruined everything. I broke pictures. I tore up pictures of the two of them. I just damaged. I did it left eye TLC,
Burn the
but I didn't
house
burn
down.
anything. I didn't burn the house down. But it was like this really fancy shampoo that I had gotten him for Christmas, because we exchanged Christmas gifts, and just think this is February, and we had exchanged Christmas gifts. So
And
he's
he's
marrying someone else.
engaged. Yeah.
And I sprayed all the shampoo all in his tub to make it really
Yes.
hard to get it. And then I just went off. And finally, the guy that was staying with him temporarily, because the guy needed a place to crash, he was just like, he called security. Security came up, and then they were like, "What are you doing?" And I said, and I was crying. I was so crying. I said, "Guys, you don't understand." I said, "We have been together for 7 years, and he's marrying someone else. We hadn't even broke up. My things are still here. I still have a key. That's how I got in here." So technically, you could call the police on me, but technically I was ruining my shit. So, that's the hindsight's always 2020. I learned later. I learned later that I actually wasn't going to get in trouble because it was my things. I basically fucked up our shit. It's ours.
Yours, mine, and ours, baby.
Yes, it's ours. And then I'll never forget the mercy and the grace that the security guard and his roommate at the time had on me. They were actually there. And by the way, I also called his mother while I was doing this. I called his mom, and she said, "I was waiting to hear from you." She's like, her and I were crying on the phone together.
You guys had a good relationship, right?
Yeah, of course. I was with them since we were kids. I was crying on the phone with her. I was like, "I can't believe he's doing this." And she's just like, "I'm so sorry." Like, it's her son. She loves her son. But
of course,
she also felt bad that the ex-girlfriend was getting lied to, and he was marrying someone else now. And
mothers
then she was
know
like,
when their sons ain't shit.
Yeah, he wasn't shit. We both done a lot of growing since then. I haven't talked to him, but I was still breaking stuff while she was in the background. She said, "What's that?" I was like, "Oh, something just fell." Girl was fucking up his shit still while I was talking to her. So somehow the security guard, I said, I just need to find my key. As I was looking for my key to get back to my car. By the way, I had sobered up a lot since then. I got it all out.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "I just find my key," and I was still breaking like a picture frame and everything. But one thing I stopped at was my former boyfriend's, his dad had died when he was 15.
Okay.
And there was a box that he kept with his dad's watch and like a letter from his dad and a few other things that was from his dad. It was in this beautiful box. I ruined everything but that. I said, as angry as I am with him, I'm never gonna like that. That's just a whole nother level of like, I would never do that to him. So in my right mind, I kept that free of any touching. I hope he noticed that, because I was like, I ruined everything but that.
I think that is something that is that would be untouchable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that you made the right decision in the moment not to do that. But the rest of that shit you did, you know how you said you were having an orgasm on stage? I think I had an orgasm in this chair. Oh my God.
Yes, I did that. And then, so I get home, I get to the place where I'm staying, and then I'm like, I wake up, my car is still blasting music, and I wake up in my car. And then I think someone says, or like the property manager or something says, the music is so loud, we may have to call the police or something like that. And I was like, shit. And I turned down the music and I got in the apartment. I was waiting on the cops to come get me. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to jail. I just caught a case. I think I just caught my first case. I'm going to jail. I'm in big trouble now. This is terrible. It's a wrap. I was so scared. And then I said, well, I better start calling my people, my family member, to tell them what I did, so that if they need to bail me out of jail, the first person I call is my sister, Rhonda. And I said, oh my God, Rhonda, I said, I finally just snapped. And she said, what did you do? I said, I went back to the apartment and I fucked up all his shit. And then my sister paused. It was like dead silent. I was like, oh my God, my sister's mad at me. She's so mad at me. She's so disappointed. She just said silently, like for a long pause, and she said, good.
Oh.
And I was like, what?
She's on your team.
She goes, good. She's on my team. And she said, Shannon, everyone was waiting for you to snap. They're like, why isn't she upset about this? Like, this is terrible what this guy has done. And then she proceeded to give me advice. She said, did you put some olive oil in his sheets? Because that would never come out. I was like,
oh my
Rhonda.
God. Would you just name Rhonda?
My sister's name is Rhonda. Yeah.
Yes, Rhonda. Shout out
Thank
to
you, Rhonda.
Rhonda.
Thank you, Rhonda. And it's like, so hindsight's always 2020. Now, like that, I'm mature, I'm a grown woman. I would never, ever, ever be with anybody that would evoke that in me or that type of anger. And
Yeah.
I will say this, I never I was always weary of men after that. And I did
Oh,
have
yeah.
some terrible men dating relationships after that, because
Mm-hmm.
it was like you keep learning the same lessons until you finally like stop learning it. So I was on this
Yeah.
pattern, this trajectory where I kept dating guys that were like similar, like not, I was always the other woman, or like I went through a series of guys like that after that. But I remember I never took out the anger of him onto anybody else. I never put that on anybody else. I just was dealing with my own stuff, and it was, most of it was just like stuff I needed to go through. And then like a few years after this all happened, their marriage, they did get married.
Wow.
They got married 6 months after they met. They got married. They got a divorce a year later, and then she moved out to LA to become a comic.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. She moved out to LA to become a comic. And then the crazy part is, the reason why I found this out is because someone tried to put us on the same show together, and she had the nerve to say, "Oh, I don't want to be on a show with her. She will know why." And I was like, "Oh, bitch, we can't be on the same show together. We share dick. We can share a mic, bitch. We can share a mic." But it's really funny,
and because you were over it.
Yeah, I was over. I was way over it. I said,
Yeah.
I fucked up all this shit. I got all my anger out.
Yeah.
And then, a few things happened in between too. Like I remember once she like stalked me for like, she called me over and over again and said, "You need help." And I said, "Actually, I got people. Why are you calling me?" Like,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, "Oh my God, he thinks I'm crazy. He got crazy. He's marrying crazy." Because
Yeah.
she didn't have to call me as much as she did. And especially moving to LA to become a comic, that's a little off. But I mean, like, we had a lot of common, like, we're both stand-up comics, and you married my long-term boyfriend, my common law husband, basically. So
Yes.
but anyway, so that is the wildest story I have on tap. Like something that, I did all the things that people like dream of doing, like how Stella got her groove back when she lights his clothes on fire. Like it's things that, like that's illegal, that I probably should have been arrested. And I don't know why he showed mercy on me. I think his mother actually said, which caused friction in their marriage. His mother said, it's already done. Shannon has not called you or messed with you or anything. Because I literally stopped talking to him after that. Like I never talked to him again. He contacted me like about 3 years later and apologized to me and told me that their relationship was, he said their marriage was so bad because he said they rushed into it, and he said, a lot of other things happened. And I just told him I forgive him. So, and he's
that was
great
nice
now.
that he apologized, though.
He apologized. He did apologize. And at the time, he said he would never date another Black woman. But now he's married to a Black woman. So I was like, yes, you will.
Was the woman that he ended up marrying right after you, she was white?
She was, I think she was white and Mexican or something like that. Okay. She wasn't completely white, but she was not Black. And he kept saying, he said he would never date another Black woman, but he's married someone who's she looks Black to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I said, you do go back to Black.
He made a return.
He made a return.
And like, I'm back, ladies.
I know, I'm not even mad at him. If I saw him now, I'll just be like, all those things led me to my now husband, who is great. He's exactly what I want. He's a Thor, like that Nordic, like he's just great. Like he's everything.
Oh yeah, because you said you liked Thor like men, but they like Thor like men.
Exactly. And the crazy part is, on our first date, my now husband was in the audience when I was doing all those Thor jokes, and then he said, "Oh my God, all her jokes are about me. It sounds like she's talking about me." I was like, I manifested him. I manifested my man.
Oh my goodness.
Careful what you joke about, it comes into action.
Absolutely.
When these comics be talking about being broke, I'm like, yo ass gonna stay broke. Stop talking about being broke.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy that you got your Thor.
I got my Thor.
I'm so happy about that, because that just proves it can happen. You know what
Yes.
I mean? It can happen. So that's really great. Now, does he still come to your shows and everything and support, or is he kind of like, go do your thing? I found you. I put my little net out there. I got you. You got me. Do your thing, or is he still out there watching?
He still comes to shows, but the more and more we're in a relationship, some of the jokes are about him are not as it doesn't put him in the best light now. Like I just
Gotcha.
say little things like, that's kind of embarrassing for him. But he's like, how did I go from Thor's to this? I'm
Yeah, yeah.
like, well, just keep fucking up. You will keep going.
As you're cooking with olive oil.
Right.
Don't
Don't
fuck
fuck
up,
up,
baby.
baby. Don't do it, baby.
Another one of your jokes I wanted to talk about, speaking of the Thor joke, because this to me, I was like, yes, she is saying what I'm thinking right now. You talk about how storms are named like names of nice things.
Yes,
Why are
yes.
we doing that? I thought
Yeah,
that
why
was
are we
so
doing
funny.
that?
I thought that was so funny. I'm like, can we just name a storm the fuck so we can say what
Yeah.
the fuck is going
Katrina
on?
was a cute name. It's like shit. Now that name is ruined.
That
Like
name is
fuck this.
ruined,
Exactly.
especially
That's
yeah for
funny.
everybody who was around during that time. It's like okay. So originally you're from Chicago, am I right in saying
Yes.
that? That's and so how long have you been out in LA? Was there any place in between that you went, or was it Chicago, LA, boom boom?
Chicago. Well, Chicago. Then I went to college in Wisconsin,
Uh-huh.
and then um, LA. I've been in LA. Shoot, I've been in LA now since 2002. So
Okay.
next year, make it 20 years. I've been here. I've been in LA longer than any other place in my life, and it's
Wow.
like this is home now. Although we've been splitting our time now between here and Utah, and
Mhm.
actually during the pandemic, I actually got to perform in Utah too, which was great because it's like I was the only Black person though, which was kind of weird. So every time I would see a Black person, I'll try to hug them, and they'll be like, "We don't know you, bitch. Leave us alone." Like, what's that many of us? What's that? Yeah,
Please, please, let's stick together. They're like, not here.
like we can't let them know that we're about to form a coup. Like, keep
I
away from us.
cannot have those accusations.
Yeah,
I just got
no,
in the Church of Latter-day Saints.
exactly. They opened up faster than LA. LA was shut down forever, so it
Oh,
was nice to
yeah.
be able to do a little bit of stand up there, and like they have their wits about it. It is Utah, so you got to be careful what you say and some of the things. But it was funny. Dave Chappelle has like the best jokes about Utah because he was there and he just roasted them the entire time, and it was talking about how women are virgins, but except for their booties. You gonna save yourself, but you didn't save that ass.
Yeah. He's the
So
best.
he was able to do a lot of jokes about that.
He's got a great podcast out now, Midnight Miracle. That's a
I'll
good
check
one.
it out. I have to
Yeah,
check it
check it
out.
out because it's he just I mean anytime Dave puts anything out, I'm like I have to listen to it. I have to watch it. I'm just obsessed with him. So I will
Hmm.
also look for his Utah. I feel like I haven't heard his Utah joke, so I'll have to look for him. My favorite Dave Chappelle joke is the one where he it's from way back in the day where he's talking about Sesame Street and
Yeah.
and he talks about how Oscar the Grouch, everyone on Sesame Street is so mean to Oscar the Grouch. And he's like, bitch, I live in a fucking trash can. Nobody's helping me. It's my,
Nobody's helping me.
it's my favorite joke of all time.
I love him.
So I love him too. So now you're back out performing. What's next for you? Are you just going to keep grinding it out? Are you working on any personal projects that you can tell us about, or you just are just going to hit the scene show after show as much as you can?
Well, I am, to be honest, completely. I'm done the grinding. The grinding I
Okay.
won't do anymore. If when I do get booked
Uh huh.
on a pretty regular basis, so I'm just going to keep that shows, create shows. We do have my best friend and I, Cynthia Kirshner. We have a show that we're probably going to bring back probably next spring. It's called the Comedy Parlor, and we
Mm-hmm.
just we just have to see if our location that we were at still has it. And that's a show that we did. We actually have a quarantine edition on the Damon Dash networks
Oh,
that's out
nice.
right now. And so we have some 13 episodes, one season we were able to do. And aside from that, I'm one of those slashers, and one of my slashes is working in casting, and I have a couple of projects that I'm in the midst of casting right now. So that's
Amazing.
always a lot of fun. But as far as the stand-up comedy, it's like whenever I can get stage time, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll create my own shows. Been doing a lot of writing and just
Nice.
excited. But the grind, that's the one blessing from this time. Some comics love that grind where they're just hanging out at the Comedy Store and hanging out at the Laugh Factory or whatever. They love that shit. I do not. I'm like, y'all smoking and drinking. Y'all go do that, but I need to have a purpose. Like if I'm not about to get on stage and I'm not trying to hang out like that. And then it's just a different approach, and it's just different ways of doing it. And I just rather like create my own stuff. Like we've been doing, but having fun with different characters and creating different little skits and stuff like that, my husband and I. So it's just like I'm more in that creation mode in that way. And you know, and I have not stopped getting on or on stage gigs. So I'm doing something right. I'm like, I'm just going with the flow, but I'm definitely not doing that formula where you gotta grind. I'm like, no, I'm done grinding. I'm like, you know, I did that.
And your work from previously is just speaking for itself, and that's probably what's continuing to get you booked. That and your amazing personality, Shannon. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful you did the show. I'm so happy that you shared such a vulnerable and truly wild story, because I could relate to a lot of it. So I loved it very much. And if you don't mind, just let everybody know where they can follow you online.
Yes, you can follow me at Shannon Bobo. And if you're interested in castings, I just started the at Shannon Bobo casting, so I can separate them so that if you any submissions, I've been putting a lot of jobs. I've been doing a lot of real people stuff. So if you're an actor or not, I love helping other people, especially performers, get work.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why and I like booking myself. I booked myself a couple times too.
You figured out the formula.
Like that's the smart way to do it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and book myself. Like I'm gonna create my own shows, and that'll be my grind.
Well, Shannon, I think that's the way to do it. You figured out the formula. So I thank you again for doing this show, and come back anytime, because I feel like there was that wild story in the vault, but there probably is a few more. So I'd love to hear them.
Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Bye.